Okay, I think we're going to go ahead and get started. We're still waiting for Karen Durr and Bob Durr. I think they're coming, but they often are late. So I want to welcome you all to our year in review of 2013 and our kickoff for 2014. I appreciate you very much for your attendance here today. Hope you enjoy it. I think we have a full day of activities, and it should be a nice way to recap 2013 and kick off 2014. 2013, as we all know in our industry, was a phenomenal year. Having gone through a recession and hurricane and a few of those instances, and buying a firm at the peak of the market, and then learning to maneuver my way through what were very challenging times, I'm very appreciative of where we are in 2013, both where we've come individually and where we've come as a company. I bought the firm, what is now 5 years, 7 months ago, and I appreciate all of you that have been with me through thick and thin. And 2013 is part of our just rewards for making it through there. It was the single best year the company's ever had. I'm proud to announce we did $188,824,290 in 2013. That represents a little over $31 million increase over last year, or about 20% on top of 2012's year, which was a very good year for us also, I might add. I want to start today by recognizing the top producers that helped make that possible. But I also want to reflect on something that's an important change for our company. Last year, we did $158 million, and the top producers produced $80 million of the $158 million, almost 50%. This year, the top 10 people did $80 million, but the rest of you did another $108 million, allowing for more people to participate in the prosperity of real estate. So all of you did significantly better. 58 agents had a transaction at Boulevard Realty last year, a sale, and that's a lot of people for us to have a sale. So I'm going to start and work our way backwards and recognize the individuals who were our top producers for 2013. I'm going to start with Robert Zahn, who is our Galveston top producer with $4,391,199. Come on up, Robert. Robert is receiving a 2-night stay at the Lancaster Hotel at the time of his choice, and $200 spending money to use any way you want for that. Congratulations to you. Okay. To become a top producer, we've identified $5 million as kind of the threshold. And that gets you a private desk or whatever, something else you might want if you don't want a desk there. And so I'm recognizing individuals who exceeded $5 million in 2013. Starting with Jay. And I can never say your last name, so come on up, Jay. Jay did $5,267,515. And Jay will receive a 2-night stay at the Tremont Hotel and $200 spending money there. So congratulations.
And stay close at the end. We can get one of all of y'all.
Okay. Next on the list is Bob Besborn, who did $5,604,450. Bob will also get a 2-night stay at the Tremont and $200 spending money for that. Next, we have Jan Clark, who did $5,768,550. Jan also will get a 2-night stay at the Tremont Hotel in Galveston. $200. No, you have your own room and your own food. All right. Next is Karen Durr, who did $6,229,916. I think she's on her way here, but hadn't parked yet. Karen will get a 2-night stay in the Lancaster since she no longer lives in the city, and the same $200 that they got. Next, and I'm very proud to report, is Rhonda Power at $7,064,319. Rhonda's getting a 2-night stay at the Driscoll Hotel in Austin and $300 spending money. Next is Miss Cynthia Mullins with $14,927,301. Cynthia has a 2-night stay on the Riverwalk at the Mansión del Rio and $400 for the family affair. There you go. Congratulations.
Or maybe no family.
Congratulations. And our top producer was Melissa Kubala with $24,534,025. Congratulations.
Thank you.
She gets a house in the Heights.
Melissa's getting a 3-night stay at the Hyatt Regency in the Hill Country, a 2-bedroom suite for the family for a 3-night stay and $500 spending money. So, yeah.
If you just received an award, would you come up and we can get a group of...
All right. There's Karen. Karen, come up. Karen again did $6,229,916 and gets a 2-night stay at the Lancaster Hotel and $200 spending money.
Karen, take your picture. Will you take a picture? I hate to be bossy at these times. All right, here we go. Everybody in there. It's all friendly. Yes, all women. Round of applause. Round of applause. Okay.
All right.
Stand behind each other.
And just for the record, I did do $30,315,000 and managed to run a company and do a few other things. So the top producers there did $79,592,000 of our $188 million. So it's a very nice deal. And thank you all for all that you do. I'm very proud today to have 2 speakers here with us who are going to share their insight, and we're very appreciative that you both decided to come and attend. We had Danny Frank last year speak to us, and we're honored today to have the new chairman of the board, Shally Ralph, who's the senior vice president of Heritage Texas Properties, who's had a broker's license since 1982, which I consider that to be about 30 years now. You started when you were 1? Yes. And Shally's going to speak, and then we are honored to have Bob Hale, who is the president and chairman and CEO of the Houston Association of Realtors. Bob started in that position in 1988. He has grown our trade association to be the largest in the state, and our Realtor Association is the 2nd largest in the country, something we can be very proud of. Our reputation nationwide is due in part to the efforts that Bob's done over the last 25 years leading HAR. So I'm very honored to have them both here to speak to us, and I turn it over to you, Ms. Ross.
Well, wow, it's an honor to be standing here in front of you all. I get to do it every day in my office or every week in my office, but I don't normally get asked. I get up and do it. So it's nice to be asked to speak to a group. Bill asked that I share some of my goals for the year, and it is an honor to share them with you. I'm sharing with you for the first group since our installation on December 12th. But clearly the events of the past 6 months suggest that the stage is set for 2014 to be a year of opportunity, but also challenge for us. And I pledge to you that, as always, HAR is prepared to work alongside each of you to help you in your business and to support you wherever we need to, and to preserve your business and your career at this time in this market. In 2014, I think we'll see, and obviously this room is a good example of that, an increasingly younger and sophisticated real estate consumer to go along with our younger and more sophisticated real estate agent and realtor that we have in today's world as well. So, but they will continue to dispute the traditional realtor value proposition, and so it's our goal to continue to develop that proposition and to create value for you so that you can continue to prevail, we can continue to help you prevail in this endeavor. HAR will continue to implement its objective to be a contributing partner of the brokerage firms in the city of Houston, and we're always proud to stand beside you and with you in that arena. Probably one of the biggest issues that hit us in 2013 and will continue to face us in 2014 is the off-MLS marketing practices that we're continuing to see in this strong market. I'm committed, and HAR is committed to doing everything possible to ensure that you as Houston area realtors understand how dangerous these practices can be from both a legal, a financial, and a marketing perspective. So you'll hear more about that throughout the year as we speak to you and as we work with you to help you continue to grow your market. But in preparing for today, and those were the goals I shared at my installation in December, but in preparing for today, I thought, if there was one thing that I really believe in this market that we can do that will honestly and truly make a difference in the way we do business in 2014, it comes back again to the consumer, and that means the client experience. If we don't continue to enhance that client experience, then we're going to be at a loss, and they will really feel that they don't need us. So we truly, as Bill mentioned, have the greatest association. We may be the second largest in the country, but we truly do have the greatest association in the country. And as your chairman, experiencing that over the last several years as I've traveled with our executive committee, it is truly a wow feeling when you go to other places in the country and they look at you and they say, it's nice to meet you, and where are you from? And I say, Houston, and they say, oh, you get to work in Houston? Wow, that's an amazing association, and we truly owe that to our leadership and our staff at HAR. So I'm sure many of you interact with them on a regular basis, but they truly are the backbone and the support of everything that your volunteer leadership does every day. So we thank you, Bob, for all that you and your staff do every day. With 2013 in our rearview mirror and 2014 underway, again, the real estate industry as a whole is finally devoting more attention to the consumer. And this came out in Rob Hahn's focus just the other day, and when he was talking about he was grading himself on his 2013 predictions. He stated that the Houston Association of Realtors continues its excellent consumer surveys, and brokerage, franchises, brands, and other organizations have decisively turned their eyes towards the consumer engagement, and consumer research. Technology remains important, and it's critical, I think, in today's world for us, but it's a tool more than it is the absolute necessary thing to make our job happen. It's not the solution. You are the solution, each and every one of you every day in working with the consumers. They're not quite as obsessively focused on tech issues anymore. They are, I think, becoming more obsessed with consumers and meeting consumer expectations. And he said, and I agree, that that's a hopeful sign for the future. Ted Jones, how many of you are attending Ted Jones' event on Monday? Okay, we got a kind of a little preempt of it. Ted forecasts 68,500 new jobs in Houston for 2014, and that's compared to 79,000 year over year or month over month for 2013. And he's saying that would be a 13% decline, but still good job growth. I mean, would you like to have part of the 68,000 people that might be moving here? I would think so. Ted expects the total number of housing sales to decline by 6%, but they are already at an all-time high on a 12-month moving pattern. So again, it's still a strong market for us, and he foresees a strong market for us as well. Median home prices have risen 9.9% in the prior 12 months, and he expects close to 6% increase this year on the median home price. He believes the reduction in the number of sales and increasing sales price at a lower level will be a function of affordability and the fewer jobs that are out there. Now, don't y'all go Monday and tell Ted I gave away his story. But it was shared with me beforehand. So what can you do to have an even stronger presence in the really good market? Give an absolutely incredible experience to your clients and ask them to talk about. If you leave here with nothing more today, I would ask you to ask your clients and work with your clients to help them sell the value of you. To share a few, I did go online on HAR on the public side, so I didn't go any backside and search anything. And I pulled up Boulevard Realty's client experience ratings with their agents. So here is one I pulled. Understood my needs, gave me personal attention, made me feel valued as a client, was on time and prompt. I would recommend this realtor to a colleague or a friend. I had full confidence in his ability, and he was extremely knowledgeable and helpful. I will definitely seek him out again when I have further needs of a realtor in Houston. He was easy to get a hold of at all times. He helped explain issues we didn't understand and was able to advise intelligently during the entire process. Now, would you want someone to pull that up against your bio on HAR and not be able to find any ratings or any comments about you? And that is Jared in your office. So I know he's not here today, but even just reading the small little details that people will share about you. Another that I pulled up, I'm a first-time home buyer with a limited budget for my target neighborhood. One agent did a great job of showing me the range of homes in my price window. I was overwhelmed by the work needed from the inspection report, and she took care of arranging for estimates and most of the repairs prior to closing. I would have settled for far less had she not been helping me. Surveyed area prices and marketed the property in accordance with contemporary values. Worked to stage and display property to its best advantage. Does anybody know who I'm talking about in here? Cynthia Mullins. She is hands down one of the best agents in Houston. Not only did she make sure we got top dollar on our sale, but she worked tremendously hard to find us our new home. So again, these are the types of things that really come to you without asking for someone to write something special about you, just by signing up for the client experience rating, sending out the request for them to complete the survey. And I think it's important that we think about that. Over the last actually 2+ years, HAR has consistently surveyed consumers in the Houston market. How many of you are aware of the consumer surveys that HAR does? They are online on HAR under your members-only site. But currently, the number of consumers that we survey on a regular basis is over 6,600 consumers. Just for your information, that is more than double the number of agents who are actually giving them what they want, which is a client rating. So we're just barely at about 3,000, I believe, or just about 10% of our agents are signed up on HAR for the client experience rating. 15% of you at Boulevard Realty are signed up for it. If you search 77008 for an agent, you are 12% of the numbers of agents that come up, those with client experience ratings, because consumers can go online and choose only agents with client experience ratings. They want to know more about you and the experience that people have had with you. They want to see your ratings. How many of you have been to a restaurant recently and looked it up online? How many of you have been to a movie and looked it up online? I'm going to New York next week, and I have researched everything. I have gone on Facebook and said, give me your opinion of this, give me your opinion of that. So we're all looking for that reinforcement that we're making the right decision. 94% believe that you are professional and competent. It's a great number for us. 93% used you to sell their last home. 88% are satisfied with you. Be nicer if that was in the high 90s. 6% found you on a rating site. That's 6% of that 6,600 consumers that we surveyed. 400 people found their their agent on a rating site. And if you aren't being rated, then you lost out on those 400 potential sales. Thank you. 1 in 4 are looking for ratings to assist them in the process. So 25% already, years ago, nobody knew about the ratings, but now 25% of them want to look at how we're rated and what people think about us. 90% found client ratings to be helpful, and more than 69% who have not used client ratings believe they would be helpful. So I thought it would be fun to do a little exercise today. Each of you has a piece of paper. This is your 8.5 by 11 piece of paper. And if you've seen this, don't blow my cover. And I want you to take this piece of paper and crumble it all up. You can rub your grapefruit on it. You can do anything you want to. You can throw it on the floor, and you can step on it. thing you cannot do is tear it. All right? So now, if you will unfold your piece of paper, and then I want you to kind of iron it out, clean it up as best you can. And will this piece of paper ever be the same again? It was interesting. I saw this online, and it was done by a teacher in New York who was trying to talk to children about being bullied. Her message was, if you bully someone, you may not have ruined them, but you've changed them for life. You have changed who they are. You have changed how they value themselves. I may be weird, and I probably am weird, but I immediately started thinking about client ratings. And I started thinking about the fact that you are being rated, whether you know it or not. So you can choose to control that and be a part of it, or you can let people rate you the way they want to rate you. And so you also have a glossy photo piece of paper on your desk, at your table. And I wanted to ask you, would you rather be rated like this, or would you rather help paint the picture of how you're rated on a daily basis? I'm going to share with you one more rating. And this is a rating, nobody in this room. I used ABC Agent to buy a property. As far as I'm concerned, he's a crook. He worked both sides of the deal, something that honest agents, I found out, never do. This means he got 6% commission and didn't represent me at all. He lied to me about the amenities, what they were going to do, and he did anything he could do to make the sale. The builder gave him a kickback. If you're looking at realtors, I would highly recommend doing your research on this guy, and you'll find out that he's not trusted, not honest, and I would never recommend working with him, let alone buying a t-shirt with his face on it. So I thought about that, and I actually know this agent and, have talked to him for years about the fact that, obviously there was something he could have corrected along the way. And I have another agent in my office that had a negative rating at one point, and she used it as an opportunity to turn around how she does her business and also set a standard and say, this person may not have been happy with me, but this is how I conduct my business. I live by a high standard, and this is my value that I bring to the client. More people came to her because she addressed the issue and stood her ground for how she felt. So I just, again, this is a rating that's on Yelp. For this gentleman, and there are ways that somebody's going to talk about you. So I ask you to think about, as you leave here today, are you in control of what people are saying about you, and are you helping to paint that picture? I do have a challenge, and this is my challenge, one of my goals for my year as chairman. I am determined to have a company that is 100% on HAR's client experience rating. I would love it to be Heritage. I doubt it will be, as hard as I try. And it's not going to be, I'm not talking about the 2-member brokerage firms out there, the small 4 or 5 people. I'm talking about somebody of your caliber. I would love to have somebody like you face that challenge with me and even possibly beat me as I try to face it in my own office. But I think it's an opportunity for us to say, as Boulevard Realty, you set yourselves higher than the rest, and you all are all 100% rated. So thank you again for having me today, and I appreciate the opportunity.
Bob, come talk to us.
I think one thing is obvious. I'm the luckiest guy in the world because I get to work with Shally all year long, and I'm paid to do it. Shally, you're amazing. You're going to be the greatest leader we probably ever had. So what a champ, man. Unbelievable. So how many of you are on a HAR committee or task force? Don't everybody raise their hand. Bill, are you on anything? We're going to get you on. If you, all right, well, call me afterwards. We're going to get you on technology or MLS, but you need to be involved. Everybody needs to be involved. No, you don't want technologists on the technology committee. You want people that understand what they need, not how to do it, okay? So Bill's perfect, just like I'd be perfect. So how many of you have ever rated a member of the HR staff? Okay, a few, all right. So a few years ago, back before we had agent ratings, we worked with a consultant, and he said, Bob, you need to have the staff rated by the members every time there's an interaction. And I was like, you're crazy. There is the members don't like the staff. We turn off their MLS if they don't pay their fees. They get fined by MLS. They don't like us. I don't want any part of that. It took him 2 years to convince me to be rated. So I know how you feel if you're not being rated. Finally, he convinced me, and so now we're rated. Every time there's an interaction with a staff member and a staff and a member, they're invited to rate their experience with that staff member, not just the overall staff, but Bob Hale. How did I do? And there's a number of questions, and then every month we look at how the staff is doing. And you know what we found out? The members do like us. We get really good ratings. It's amazing. So, Shally, you're exactly right. We're going to be rated whether or not we participate or not. It's going to happen on Yelp or at the grocery store or whatever. So I think that's important. So let's talk for a minute about 2014 challenges to our industry and what the opportunities are. Because at HAR, we never look at a challenge as anything negative. We look at it as a positive because it's something we can do now to make things better. So who is changing every industry out there? Every industry is being disrupted today, and the person changing these industries is called the consumer. Because if an industry changes but consumers don't like it, no change happens. So industry is changing because of consumers. So what are some examples? Cable TV. Subscribers to cable TV is going way down. What's one of the reasons? How many of you have Netflix? How many of you have Apple TV? How many of you have the new Chromecast for $35 where you can watch everything without going through cable? So cable is dramatically being changed because consumers like Netflix, they like iTunes and others. Big box stores. How many of you go to the store to buy something, or you sit down in your living room and you go to Amazon and you get it in 2 days? Amazon is totally changing the way we shop. What about records? When was the last time you bought a record? When was the last time you bought a song on iTunes? Or how many of you listened to free Pandora? Think about radio. Think about records, how that's being totally changed. What about travel? When was the last time you went to see a travel agent? You go to Expedia, you go to United, you go to Starwood, you book it yourself. We don't go to travel agents anymore. I remember years ago when I went to a travel agent to book a room in San Diego, and she brought out this huge book, and it had one picture and a brief description of hotels all over the country. I thought I'd died and gone to heaven. There wasn't anything like that. You couldn't find anything like that. And would she let you take it home? Of course not. You got to use her to see that book. Now everything is on the internet. Every hotel in the world, everything. You can do your own research. What about telephones? How many of you have a dial-up phone at home? How many would admit it? How many in here are under 35? Okay, you don't have one, I know that. So think about iPhone. How many of you have a BlackBerry? You know, a few years ago, 3 years ago or 4 years ago, if I'd asked everybody in this room would have said I have a BlackBerry. Today, it's gone. It had 100% market share, and it's gone. because consumers wanted an iPhone and they wanted an Android and they wanted all these cool things. And so who has BlackBerries today? Attorneys. And that's about it. But it's going away because something better came along. When was the last time you went to a stockbroker? You use Scottrade or E-Trade, or everyone does it themselves. How many of you take the newspaper? I texted Shally Sunday morning and I said, hey, your article in the Chronicle is great. She went, I didn't think you took the newspaper. But most people read it online now. I was in Canada a couple of years ago and I wanted to read the Wall Street Journal and it was in French, and so I couldn't read it. And then I went, oh, I've got it on my iPad. So I went and read it on my iPad. Books. When was the last time you went to Barter's bookstore? Well, since they're out of business, you probably didn't. Because what happened is they didn't realize people would rather buy a book online than walk into a store. And so Amazon and Kindle came along and totally destroyed an industry. So today when you buy a book, you buy it on your iPad. I've got hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of books sitting right there on that table on my iPad. Total change. And the list goes on. So what are some things that could change us? At the consumer show in Vegas, one of the big things they're talking about is the iPhone or the Android will open your door. You'll put a lock on your door and you'll open it from wherever you are in the world with your iPhone. No longer a key. You could still have the key. But what does that do to lock boxes? Will we need lock boxes in the future? Probably not. That will totally change everything. The other thing that's going on is major manufacturers of cars are doing what? They're teaming up with Google and iPhone and AT&T to put 4G internet access in every new automobile with an iPad built into the dashboard. So what does that mean to consumers looking at real estate? That's where they're going to be looking at real estate. They're going to pull up in front of a house and see everything about that house from their car. High speed. How many people have a high-definition flat-screen TV? How many have listings with fabulous photos? Because, boy, if you've got a crummy photo and it looks bad on a computer, when the consumer pulls it up on a 50-inch flat-screen high-definition TV, it looks terrible. It magnifies the worst of it immensely. So that's something that's going to change us. We've got to have high-quality photos now, not just photos. Because in the consumer's mind, that photo is more important than anything else. Trumps everything. So Shally talked about the consumer. The Gen Y consumer, the young consumer, is going to be the largest group of consumers in the history of America. And the latest NAR survey said that 23% of them do not want a traditional full-service realtor. They want a limited service realtor. And everybody says, oh, they don't want to pay as much. The money's not the issue. It's the attitude is I can do it myself. They have that. They were born with an iPad in their hand. They feel like I can do anything. I still need a realtor to help with some things, but not every. I'll find the house. I just can't get into it unless the owner lets me in with his iPhone. Then I don't need the realtor to get it. So we're going to see some shifts, and so we need to know what do they want so we can provide that information to them. Then they ask, how satisfied were you as a seller? These young, 42% were very satisfied. 58% weren't. That's disaster waiting to happen. If 58% of the consumers of realtors under a certain age are not happy, that's disaster waiting to happen. What if you owned a restaurant and 58% of the people said, hey, I didn't like the food? You won't be in business long. It just is. So we have to change because they're not going to. They're cool, they're cocky, they think they know everything, and they're not going to change. So we're going to have to change in some ways. So what do consumers want? Say you're a consumer. If the realtor would always think like a consumer, not like a realtor, and you're looking for a house, you want to know how many days it's been on the market, right? You want to know what it's sold for. Not that it matters, because if it sold 5 years ago, that's irrelevant, but to the consumer, that's important to them. So where on the web do they go to get that? Is that on your website? No, I bet it's not. Neither one of those things are. Anyone ever heard of Redfin? Redfin's the top broker in the United States on the web. More people go to redfin.com than any other broker in the United States. So if I want to know what a home sold for in Houston or how many days on the market the listing is, I go to redfin.com because they're a member of HAR, they're a broker, and I can see all that. So think about that. Why aren't we doing that? Why do we send them to a competitor? So one of the things we're going to offer every broker this year at no cost, or a minimal cost if anyone makes us charge, is a VOW, a virtual office website, where people have to log in, and then you can provide them that, and then you get that lead and not one of your competitors. How many would like that? You gotta like that, because they're getting it somewhere else. Why not have them come to Boulevard Realty? That's the key. So we got an email the other day threatening a lawsuit. It was a CPA. She found a home, called about it. It's on HR.com, it's on Realtor.com, it's Zillow and Trillia. So I want to see it, and they said, oh, it's pending. She said, well, why is it showing active? So if you have a listing and you get an offer and it goes into pending, how many days do you have to change that status in MLS? 3 days. Consumers say, are you crazy? Why don't you change it right then? If a stock changes hands on the stock market, it's updated every second. You don't, if I buy AT&T stock today, it's not reported in 3 days. So they're calling us dinosaurs now. They're saying you're totally out of touch. In a hot market, that you keep that from me for 3 days is insanity, and I'm going to sue. Well, they won't win, but it's horrible PR for our industry. And we're not unique. I mean, 3 days is probably shorter than a lot of MLSs. Sean brought it up to the MLS committee about reducing it. You know what they said? Let's lengthen it. Duh. We're the problem sometimes. And we have to rethink. Just because we've always done something one way doesn't mean we have to keep doing that. Consumers want to see how agents are rated. Shally really covered that well. Guess where consumers are going to find out? Not in Houston, because in Houston they can find out about 3,400 agents, how they're rated. But if you're outside of Houston and the rest of the country, where do you go to see how an agent's rated? Yelp and Zillow. Zillow has 400,000 agent ratings on there today. 400,000. In the near term, Zillow will control agent ratings in this United States. Totally control it. Why? Because our industry has refused to do it. We're the only association in the United States doing it today. And, you know, we do all kinds of cool stuff, but we can't win if we're the only one doing it, because Zillow's nationwide. So consumers now are being trained. If you want to see how an agent's rated, and they do, over 90% in our survey said we want to see how an agent's rated before we pick one. Zillow sees that. We will be the rating service for consumers. 400,000. Before the end of this year, that'll be 500,000. And then the game will change. And those rated agents will get something. I don't know what it'll be, but they will get a benefit over the other agents that are not rated. It's going to change. And here's an example of Zillow's going to do it. They also want to see what? Your production. The consumer doesn't just want to know that Shally's really a good person and helped that consumer. Did she do any business? They want to see you did $30 million. They want to see how many transactions you did it and where you did it. Because if I'm looking to move the Woodlands and you did them all in River Oaks, that doesn't help me any. Now, where do they go to find that? Nowhere. It doesn't exist. But it's coming. Neighbor City is doing it. HomeLight's doing it. Google just put $1 million into HomeLight because they think this is something consumers really want. Zillow now allows agents to put their production on their listings. Trulia now allows agents to put their production on their listings. HAR allows agents to put their production on their listings. So a number of our members now show how many listings they have, all of their active listings, and how many sales they participated in over the last few years. And I can go to a detailed page of an agent and see all that, or I can go to their profile or their website. So it's happening. It's just not happening, in a way that everybody realizes, but it's truly, truly happening. And I would encourage you, if you are a producer, let people know it. If you have a good rating, let people know it, because that's only going to make things better. Consumers want transaction management. Do you all participate in SureClose? Think about it. It's free. We have a bulk buy with SureClose, and it doesn't cost you anything. And 92% of consumers we surveyed want transaction management when they're involved in a real estate transaction, which means to them, they want to go into their file with a password and see if the inspection's in, if the loan's been approved, if what the inspection report said, if the title commitment's done, and they can see it. All that stuff would be on a password-protected website with all the documents there that the consumer can see all that. And then you could track, you'd have a checklist of everything that needs to be done. When a pilot of an airplane takes off, they have a checklist. They don't think, well, let me think, did we do that, or did we pull up the wheel? I don't remember, And you're not flying a plane, but you're helping somebody with the most important decision financially they'll ever make. So let's talk about it, because it again, you will love it. Okay, well that's something similar. They're different, and there's no reason you can't do both. But think about it. Talking about surveying. So those are some of the external changes taking place in the industry. What are internal? Let me quickly cover internal ones. External. Zillow and Trulia. How many of you have your listings on Zillow and Trulia? Probably everybody does, because we send them all there, unless you don't want it to go there. Their market cap, their value of those two companies today is over $4 billion. They started with zero, and now they're worth $4 billion. And nationwide, when you look at where do people go to look at real estate, they're number one and number two in the country, and in every local market in the United States, from Corpus to Dallas to San Antonio to New York City, they're number one and number two. Everywhere, except Houston, Texas. And HAR, your website, is number one. Do you know what Zillow would do to get rid of us, to knock us off? I know Spencer is our CEO. He goes to bed every night thinking, how do I beat HAR? Because we're the only place in the country that they're not number one, and that's a real thorn in their side. And they're catching up with us. That's the sad thing. Every month they're moving up. So they've got 60 million consumers going to their Zillow network every month. They got 24 unique mobile apps. How many of you use the HAR mobile app to get the MLS? Virtually everybody. Do you like it? That's one of the things we get the most. People love it, it seems like. So, and that's only going to get better and better and better. In one day last year, the three founders of Zillow sold some stock, and they got $75 million, the three of them. And I read that article, and I went, thank God that's the end of them. They've sold out, they're going to move on. And then I realized they only sold a sliver of their stock. So their goal is to keep Zillow going and getting it better. So that's one external factor. The portal agent. That's the agent that likes Zillow more than their broker or their association. Today, 44,000 agents, most of those are not in Houston because of HAR.com, and that's why they want to get rid of us, because we're keeping people from paying them. So 44,000 agents are paying Zillow today, on average, $259 a month. Think about that. I talked to an agent the other day who got a lead from Zillow for $1 million sale. He was the buyer representative because he advertises on there, and it closed. So he loves Zillow. $1 million deal from a Zillow lead. Now, we give out 800,000 leads to our members every year at no cost. A lot of those are $1 million leads, but because they're free, everybody takes it for granted. But you pay Zillow $259 a month and you get the same lead. It's like, whoa, what's wrong with that picture? It makes no sense at all. So the rise of mobile. Today, more people, or as many people, are looking at your listings on their mobile device, their iPad, their Android phone, whatever, as they are on a computer. So there's a total shift in consumer behavior as they search for real estate. Last month, your listings on HAR.com were looked at 14 million times on a computer and 13.5 million times on a mobile device. So we're just about to catch up. And every month it gets more. So in the near future, probably next month or in the next month, more people will be looking at our listings on a mobile device. So we have to be mobile. If we're not, no one's going to be looking at us. So we've got a number of products in development right now that are mobile that will benefit you. One thing we hope to offer soon is a mobile branded app for every agent and every broker, branded to Boulevard Realty or branded to the agent with your picture and your name and all that at no additional cost. We'll be the only MLS in the country to pull that off. And we're working on that right now. That will be huge, because in that you can give that to every one of your clients. Anyone heard of the Realty Alliance? Okay, Shelley. It's an association of 72 really big brokers around the country that don't like MLSs. They like MLSs, but they hate HAR because they don't like the idea that we provide all these services to the members for $20 a month. Their idea is if the broker can't afford to provide them, they shouldn't be in business. Well, we've got nearly 40 to 4,300 brokers in Houston, and 99.9% of them don't agree with that, because they would all go out of business under that theory, except for maybe one or two. And even the big ones, like, why should I pay for all that if they can get it for free from HR and we can spend money on marketing and salaries and all that? But the battle we've got is we're in a war now with them, and we're the target. HAR is the target for the Realty Alliance. And they're going to NAR and they're saying, NAR changed the rules to where HAR can no longer provide all these services for a flat fee of $20. Give them basic MLS, but everything else there should be an additional fee for. So that's the battle we're in, and it's going to affect everybody in this room. If we lose it, then we'll charge a little extra for all the other stuff. It won't be painful, but it's just a nuisance. It just doesn't make any sense. That working together, we can do so much more than fighting each other. And that's the thing that makes Houston unique. The last two things are Wall Street is now into real estate. Major change. Realogy. All the Realogy brands now are owned by Wall Street. They did an IPO. RE/MAX did an IPO. It's now governed by Wall Street. Berkshire Hathaway, Wall Street. And then you have big firms like Redfin that just got $50 million from private investors. So private and public, not public, but Wall Street money is now coming hugely into our industry. We don't know what the changes will be, but you can bet there will be some changes out of that. Because we've always been, a one or two person owned businesses for decades, hundreds of years. And now that's slowly starting to change. The last thing, and Shelley covered that, is the off MLS. And according to NAR's attorney, that's the biggest issue we have facing the industry. And the problem is there's so many now nationwide that have been sold that didn't go into MLS. And the theory is, how many of you seen these ads on TV, some lawyer in Detroit who says, call this 800 number if you've been whatever, whatever it is, and you'll become a part of a class action lawsuit. What if you turn on TV tomorrow and there's an ad, some lawyer in Detroit, call this 800 number if you listed your home in the last 4 years and sold it and it wasn't put into MLS and you lost money on the deal. And now you're a part of a lawsuit. And the broker and the agent are sued. And the theory is could be a violation of the fair housing law because not all buyers knew about it. It could be a violation of the agency law. You could lose your license because you breached the fiduciary duty to the seller. It could be a violation of the antitrust laws because that group that got together was a boycott of all the other competitors. They didn't let them play. I mean, this thing is fraught with incredible dangers. And the brokers that have agents that are doing it have no idea the gun that's to their head right now. And so, I don't know the solution, but if I was doing it, I'd have it in red where the seller signed it, that you realize that, blah, blah, all these things that maybe aren't to your best interest. And if you still want to do it, great. But to have something hidden in line 23 out of a 12-page document isn't going to cut it. So TAR is working on a form, and we will probably adopt that the seller would have to sign it before the listing couldn't go into MLS. Certainly, the seller has every right not to do it. It just has to be full disclosure where they totally understand it, and Bill can defend that in court with a piece of paper that the seller signed. So there's no, and again, maybe no one in this room is doing it, and I hope not, but it is a major issue. So that's the challenges and the opportunities for 2014. And I think the main thing to understand is we're on top of it. We're right in the middle of all this. And with Shelley's guidance, we're going to win the day. And we're going to get him on a committee.
Can we get a picture of Bill and?
Sure. Oh, thanks. What hotel is that?
I'm old-fashioned. Those are hard copy books. I went to the bookstore to buy them. And I wrote in personalized.
That you can do.
Ready? 1, 2, 3.
Sure.
Bill, I see you turning sideways, trying to look slim there. Thank you.
You don't have to turn sideways. I want to open it up just for a couple of minutes. Are there any particular questions that you might have for Shelley or Bob, either one? We've got them right here. Captive audience. Bradley?
I just had a question. I read a little bit about agent production. They're trying to publicize all of this, and that we have a strong stance on that. What is our stance on that with the NHAR?
Anybody remember Agent Match?
Yes.
All right. Did anybody like it? Not everybody liked it, okay? The board of directors thought it was a great idea. So we did it, we put it up, we took it down the next day because so many people didn't like it. The interesting thing is NAR paid us $75,000 because they thought it was the best idea they'd ever had, so we got this award. And Inman gave us the Innovator of the Year award, even though it only stayed up one day because it said you're gutsy, you don't mind getting out on the edge, you try things even if they don't work. You listened to your members, you took it down, you didn't try to cram it down their throat. Now, anybody remember, that was Realtor Match. Anybody remember Agent Match? That Realtor.com was just about to roll out. Okay, they've taken it down because of so much deals. Now, what we do, and Truly is doing, and Zillow's doing, and others are doing is you can voluntarily show your production. No one makes you, but if you want to, you can. And that will be on the detailed listing of your listing, and it'll be on your profile, and it'll be on your website. Just like you take out an ad in the paper, it's the same thing. But no one has to do it, and right now there's no way to search for that. So there's no way I could go to HR.com and say, show me everybody that did $30 million or more, and his name comes up. That we don't have that. But you can show that, and you should,
Right.
voluntarily. So that's where we are with that.
When I go up with an agent, I immediately go there and look and see what have they sold lately. If they haven't sold anything since February of 2012, then I know they're probably haven't been too active lately.
Yeah, but you're looking at MLS.
Yes, I'm looking at
So you can
MLS.
see everything, but the consumer can only see
Right.
those agents that say, I want to show it to everybody.
How are the upgrades coming along with MLS? What are we going to be doing different?
Shelley, you want to handle that one? As a member?
You mean the Fusion and the Tempo? You know, I'm not on the MLS committee anymore either. But I do know that, I mean, we didn't take Tempo down because we didn't know where the Fusion was going to be able to do what we needed it to do. I think one thing we do have with our association is we do try to make sure that, we have a system that works for you out there. It will be, the new MLS system will be something of a merger of probably both of those systems. There are great features in each one, but everything we wanted in Tempo, or wanted to have Tempo do, they couldn't do with Tempo. And Tempo has made some great advances in the last month or so. You can now use it on all your Mac products and Apple products. So that's a huge opportunity there. I think that is still, I'm not even sure where they are with the next level,
Yeah.
what it's going to be called. But
CoreLogic.
they're the ones that are trying to find the right piece for us.
Yeah, CoreLogic is our MLS vendor, and they got about 500,000 realtors under their MLS platforms. They've got different platforms, so they're by far the biggest. And there's only 2 MLSs out of the 900 in the country that are still on Tempo, us and Dallas. And so the problem is they're keeping a system for us that no one else is using. They got everyone else off of Tempo, and Sean, who's head of our MLS, says, we're not getting off because it works. May not be the best, but it works, and some of your other things are not working great. And so we even had them rewrite Tempo to where you can sit on a Mac or the whole thing now, which they hate that because they just want to get rid of it. But we're holding on to it until we see a product that, and Fusion's probably not going to be the product that we end up with. There's a product called Matrix that will probably,
Take over.
that and Tempo will probably come together.
There are some advantages, as Sean said, that Fusion sometimes
Yeah,
goes
yeah.
over Tempo. Is there any reason to believe that you don't get information on one that you don't, or they both come from the same?
It should be the
Your
exact same
information is
data.
the same information. One interesting thing that you do see, and I teach Tempo in Fusion classes, I mean, for some reason, if you do a CMA on Tempo and a CMA on Fusion and you use the same numbers, the same properties, they come out just a little bit differently. I don't know why, it's supposed to be the same program, but you'll hear that if you take a class at HAR. But if you're ever interested, I know HAR will come out and teach classes for you. We've been doing some, where we teach Tempo in the morning and Fusion in the
And
afternoon.
we went
just
to
because
HAR
it's
and
a
had a
great-
Fusion class.
Yeah, good,
We went
good.
there. And Sean just did
It's
the private
kind of
class.
interesting to see, agents' perspectives when you're taking both on the same day too, so.
Glenda.
About 75% of my business is 65 age plus. And so what do you do for the client rating when they don't have a computer, they don't have an email address, you keep asking me to send stuff out.
You
and
call
I'm
Marilyn
required-
Maxwell at HAR and the training department, and they will call and make a phone call and do a verbal over the phone and place it up online for you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because sometimes they don't speak English or
Right.
they don't have
Yeah, they don't.
an email.
Yeah, our
So,
training
yeah,
and
we
development
wanna make sure
department, they'll
that-
do that for you.
Okay, so when you get that email that says you need to send this out, you need to send this out, are they
You
going
need
to
to
wipe
call.
that out?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Cindy.
Marilyn Maxwell.
Marilyn Maxwell at HAR.
Cindy.
Did I understand you correctly that Redfin has HAR sales price data published online?
Who does? Redfin, because they're a broker. And under the agreement between NAR and the Department of Justice about 3 or 4 years ago, any broker can do anything on the internet that they can do in their office. So if you provide, if I walk in and I say, I'm interested in buying a house, what do these three sell for? And you tell me, then Redfin has the right to do the same thing on the internet because they don't want you walking in their office. They don't want an office.
And they're making that public to whoever wants.
Through their website.
Yeah, but you have to log in and be a customer.
Register as a customer.
Do you have to pay?
Nope.
And are they using that customer, are they using that, does Redfin use that as a buyer tenant representation?
No, it's not to that point yet.
Are they here?
Mhm. They're in every major market in the country pretty much.
So they're a virtual?
Yeah, they have a physical location, but their real business is internet.
They're the one that you call and they have agents around that call the agent that's nearest the house you want to see right now. and
They
show it to you,
refer,
right?
they're a referral, they'll refer, a lot of agents get business from them. But they're a broker, they're just like you are, they just don't have as big an office.
Jim?
I took that Fusion class as well as the Tempo, and one of the advantages they said that Fusion had over Tempo was when you listed something in Fusion, it would be available online within 15 minutes. Tempo would be logged on later that evening and available the next morning.
And they both update every 15 minutes.
Oh, they do?
I think the auto, maybe talking about the auto notifications, if you set somebody up.
Maybe the
Yeah, it's
auto
auto
notification, the auto notifications, you
Yeah.
can send immediate notifications through Fusion, whereas your client gateway on Tempo doesn't go out except at like 3 o'clock in the morning.
Right. Good question. One more? Anyone?
Thank you very, very much.
Y'all have a great day. We will continue on. Okay, we're going to talk just a few more minutes about 2013, then we'll take a little break for everyone, and then we'll start back with something new. Just to recap of 2013, 11 of the 12 months we were up over the previous year, which had been a very good year for us. So 11 of the 12 months were the very best. It was absolutely the very best year ever. Of course, you know, one highlight was opening the Kirby office. Took a little longer than I had anticipated, but we did a little more work than we had anticipated. But if you haven't been, stop by the Kirby office. We have keys. But the Kirby office is designed to give us presence in areas 16 and 17. Greater visibility in the $1 million plus market, greater visibility to the Med Center, greater visibility to the Rice area. I mean, it's designed to be a billboard and a working opportunity for you to work there should you be so inclined to do so. But very excited about that. We added a videographer. Alex is here. If you don't know Alex, he's videotaping our sales meetings. We're uploading them to BackAgent. If you miss a meeting, you know, you have the opportunity to go back and see what happened. We're very excited. In 2014, we're going to do a lot more of these opportunities for training videos that will be available for everyone. So we're just kind of getting our fingers wet there. We had a billboard up on Kirby for 3 or 4 months there. In May, we had the single busiest month ever, $24 million in the month of May. Pretty good month there. We expanded our libraries and are currently expanding the library at the Kirby location. And we'll be announcing for 2014, we're adding the Little Library program, both to the Kirby office and to the Heights office, which is just a free little library that's out in front of the buildings where people just pick up a book. They don't have to return it by any means, but it's a program nationwide. Really, it's worldwide. We've added the shredding service everywhere. In 2013, we hired Aaron, if you know Aaron. We hired Mario to assist with Frank over there. Hired Kobe. Jim, you made Kobe go. I know y'all were sad for the demise of Carly, but Carly left us, which was a monumental event there. And I wanted to remind you of a lot of things that we did that maybe you didn't get to participate in, but we're going to continue in 2014. We had 2 great bowling nights with the families. They were great opportunities. Thank you for those that did that. We had a hayride here in December, and we've already booked our hayride for 2014, so we'll be doing that one again. We toured the permitting office. We had our first movie night, which was a little bit of a disaster, but we recovered as quickly as we could, and have new movie night this coming Friday, which I'll talk about. We had a couple of happy hours. Don't know if you got to participate in them. We had our new construction tour where we went around and toured houses under construction or whatever. Just a variety of things that I thought that we did that we'll continue to do here in 2014. Of course, we had our stresses just like everyone else. The major stress stemmed from the lack of inventory. It was the single most significant factor in our industry. With not enough homes, it created an imbalance in the marketplace, which created additional stress on every segment of the market. The lender side, the appraisal side, and certainly if you had a listing, it was interesting times, and if you've had buyers trying to get a house, it was foremost on everyone's mind. The lack of inventory and the imbalance in the marketplace created tremendous stress in our industry. We handled it about as well as anyone. I mean, I think we try and keep people informed, setting an expectation, communicating well with both the buying side and the selling side. I appreciate what they're saying about the off-MLS things because, I mean, I have many people who would be happy to do their house, sell their house, say, I want $700,000. If you can get me $700,000, go sell it. And I have to tell them, I today, as the broker and the owner of the firm, don't know what the market's willing to pay for houses because the market's willing to pay more than it ever has before, and you can't just use data of past sales to determine that. So the fairest thing to do is to put the house on the market and see what the market will yield. I mean, I can't believe my 730 Cortland experience, which on paper the damn thing was barely worth $750. I say go for $800, and I'll be damned if we didn't get 12 offers and took $75,000 over the high number that I thought it was worth. But that's what someone was willing to pay for it. And so those sort of challenges, make us put the houses on the MLS and see what will happen. The fear is that you put it too high and then you're labeled because any house in 2014 that's been on the market 10 days, people assume there's something wrong with it. You've listed it too high, or you're not telling the truth, or no one else wants it, I don't want it. Everyone wants the new meat, they don't want day-old meat. And it's a significant problem that we're having here. So how do you price it? When do you put it on the MLS? Those decisions are foremost important on our mind over there. Certainly, we all had to deal with bidding wars, and we had to deal with multiple offers. There's nothing more frustrating for me when I put a house on the market and 12 people bid on it. Remember, there are 11 unhappy agents and 11 unhappy buyers in the marketplace. I get death threats. No. I mean, I get accused all the time of, you're racist, you chose one, you're, manipulative, you're untrustworthy, because they didn't get their deal. There's buyer frustration in the marketplace. There's realtor frustration in the marketplace. When they call me and I list it on Thursday and I say highest and best by noon on Monday, there is nothing they can do that will get me to accept an offer on Saturday. I don't care if you call 15 times. I don't care how many letters that you write or have their lenders call. The fairest thing for the seller is to allow a reasonable amount of time to determine what the marketplace will do. But it creates stress. There's no doubt about that. I think we've seen delayed listings. We want people to list. They say they're going to list, but when are they going to list? And they're all waiting for just the right time. So we have this shallow inventory that's coming on the market, and when's it going to get here? And it creates another level of frustration. I have 15 listings that I'd love to go put on the marketplace, except the seller doesn't want to put them on, and probably in their best interest that they wait a little bit longer to put them on. The market will even be stronger. If it's new construction, you rarely want to put it on early because you don't. 707 10th Street, I begged my seller not to put it on the market. I'd be happy at $1 million. So we brought him an offer for $1 million. We built the damn thing, and I'll be damned if it didn't appraise for $1.1 million, and he wants me, the realtor, to go back and ask the buyer for another $100,000. Well, of course, there's nothing I can do about that. Well, then he never wants to finish the punch list, right? I gave him $100,000 because I left that on the table. It creates frustration in the marketplace. And so how do we deal with those frustrations? Communicate, do our best through there. Prices, keeping up with pricing is next to impossible. We just do the best that we can. Lots that I had on Center Street, we bought for $10 a foot in 2008, sold them for $20 a foot in 2011. 6 months later, it sold for $30 a foot, and 6 months later, it sold for $40 a foot. And everyone made money on that deal, but my guy who bought it 10 and sold for 20, made 100%, could have made 300% if he'd have just held on one more year over there. For it to go that rapidly in price, $10, $20, $30, $40 a foot in less than a year's time or whatever, it's hard for the agents to keep up with it. It's hard for the buyers to grasp that the price has gone up that much, but it does. I mean, in these markets where the supply and demand are not in balance, it's creating total imbalance in the pricing as well. We did have a lot of strengths, I thought. I think we're 3 years into Boulevard Realty's image. We have greater visibility than ever before. I think we have greater respect within our industry, both at the HAR level as well as the other level of just trying to brand to the realtor community. I've tried to do my part as the broker and owner to get our image out there so that you have respect when you make an offer, that they know something about Boulevard Realty from the real estate perspective there. We definitely advertised more in 2013. We definitely trained more in 2013. And I think that we portrayed in an industry that's constantly evolving, our image is that we have a very high level of ethics. There's plenty of real estate firms that are doing great too. The Sudoffs and the Urban Livings of the world are up. They're up probably greater than we are. But if we do what we do with integrity, if we do it with honesty, if we do it with a core set of values or whatever, I think in the long run it's going to pay off for us there. And holding to those deals is the most important thing for our future there. So overall, 2013 I think was a phenomenal year, in part due to what you do every day over there. And so I want to thank you. We've tried to have this attitude of gratitude, but really you are what makes Boulevard Realty work and your contribution every day. And so I just want to say thank you to you for all that you do. So clap your hands. Okay, why don't we take just a little break here? It's 10:30 and we'll start back at 10:45.